Welcome back, SSP. I am Jordan Osman, owner of Finish Line Shine Auto Detailing, and today we're going to teach you how to wash your black paint safely. So first step in safely washing your vehicle, this goes for any paint, especially black paint. Everybody knows black paint is a pain to take care of and maintain without scratching the crap out of it. So first step is you're gonna take a grit guard. This is a dirt trap by Chemical Guys. I find that it traps the finer dirt particles a little bit better because you can see the holes within inside of it. Don't allow for dirt to come back up as much as this. If you kind of slosh around the water inside it, some dirt particles can come back up. Some of the bigger stuff will stay down. It falls easier through this. So I like to put my dirt trap for the finer particles down at the bottom there. Get a little wet, nothing wrong with that. And then I take my actual grit guard with the back plate and put that over top of it. That way you get double protection. Nothing wrong with protection. Always use protection. All right, second step, after you put in your dirt traps and dirt guards, what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your wash media, and I personally use the Rag Company's Cyclone wash pads. I feel like they hold a good amount of suds, and they keep it nice and lubricated over the paint so you don't mar the crap out of it. So I use two. I usually use a smaller one for lower panels and the bigger one for top panels, because your lower panels is where all your dirt and grime and all the road film is gonna be, and that's what's gonna mar the paint. So you always wanna wash top to bottom. So you have that in there. I usually put the second one in later, and then I apply my soap, which I usually go for a pH neutral soap. You don't want it to go more on the alkaline side because one, it will strip waxes, but two, it will also dry unevenly, and it will be more prone to leave water spots and etch into the paint if you leave it sit. pH balanced soap, if you start getting water spots and your soap kind of sits on the paint too long, it's no big deal. You can just wipe it down and get it right off. So you measure out whatever your dilution is for your soap. With Hyperwash, it's one ounce to 4 gallons. So you just put that on, and I usually pour it on the wash mitt, which I'll show you why. Now next step, it gets a little sudsy, a little foam, nothing wrong with it. You're gonna take your pressure washer, nozzle, put it up to the wash mitt with the soap sitting on it. Nothing wrong with a little sudsy action. All right, now that you safely and you properly have your wash bucket and you have your rinse bucket. One is for whenever you get the suds on the actual wash media, like so. You're going to apply it to the paint, and then after you're done with that, after you wash a panel or a small section, you're gonna go to the rinse it out, get it all the dirt and debris off that you just got off your paint. You're gonna let it all go back into that bucket, and then you're gonna go and get more suds on it in this bucket. That way you don't have cross-contamination. You have all the dirt, most of the dirt going into this bucket, and then you're going into this one and getting all your clean soap. That way you can apply it and not grind it up against your paint. Now that we have the wash media bucket set up, we're gonna go ahead and get the actual wheel bucket. So it's very important whenever you're washing paint and detailing a vehicle that you have separate buckets for the rinse, wash, and then wheels. Because brake dust, whenever you're washing it with the wheels, it's very acidic, so you don't want to take that and then grind all the brake dust right up against your paint. It's not gonna be good. It's metal. It's gonna ruin your paint, trust me. Now that we got the bucket set up for the wheels, I am running Brake Buster and an IK foamer, IK Pro 2 foamer. And I like to just give it a little pre-spray. It's a non-acidic brake cleaner, so it's not gonna eat anything that doesn't have paint on it. It's gonna be nice and safe. So there, you're just gonna take it. Foam up the wheel, get your brush, then you're good to start detailing. So one thing I always do for aftermarket gloss wheels is I always add some car soap into my wheel bucket, just because though wheel cleaner does have some natural lubricity to it, Nothing's better than actual car soap that's meant for your paint. If it's not gonna scratch black paint, then it's not gonna scratch your wheels. So, tip, always add car soap. All right, so one thing that I also do whenever a car is extremely dirty, you really don't have to do it on this because this car doesn't have too much grime on it. It's just pollen, which is abrasive, but for like northern cars that have a lot of salt on it, I usually pre-spray it with O&R before I even start pressure washing. Because whenever you take like a 2000 PSI pressure washer and up, what it's doing is it's driving that salt into the paint. So I use O&R because it's supposed to encapsulate and emulsify the dirt rather than just driving it into your paint. And then I spray it off with a pressure washer over that and then proceed with my foam wash. So now that the dirt on the paint is encapsulated and emulsified by the O&R pre-spray, now you're safe to start pressure washing. Alrighty, and now that we got the pre-spray to the pre-spray done, it's time to switch to the foam cannon. Alrighty, now that we're done washing the car, now comes the most important part, which is drying the car. Now, believe it or not, around 70 to 80%, 80-ish% of scratches are induced into the paint whenever you are drying the car. And there's two ways that you can really prevent that. Number one, use a drying aid. You can use a spray wax, a ceramic detail spray, anything that gives a little bit of lubricity and protection. Number two is to invest in good quality microfibers. You may be able to save a few bucks, but you're saving at the cost of your paint. Quality microfibers will prevent scratching your paint, and it will also make your life a lot easier, because if you drop one of your microfibers on the ground, it's usually gonna grab the dirt on cheap ones and you're never gonna be able to get it off. I call that death grip. This one, you run it through the wash cycle, drops the dirt immediately. Alrighty, so after we dried the first pass on the hood, we got most of the moisture up, and we applied the ceramic detail spray to the hood and also to that. So that being said, you can say this is pretty damp now. I usually like to go over it with a second microfiber, one to kind of buff off whatever that left, and to really set in the wax. Now that we're done with the paint and we're just doing some finishing up touches, we're gonna go ahead and dress the tires. Now, there's a lot of different dressings out there, and not all of them are equal. You have silicone and you have water-based dressings, and now evidently you have SiO2. Haven't gotten into that yet. But typically I try to stay with a water-based dressing, because what tends to happen with a silicone-based dressing is, yes, they're a lot shinier, but they sit on the surface instead of actually absorbing in. And what that creates is, once your tire starts spinning, it creates what's called fling. Now that's great and all, because it's a nice shine, but what happens whenever you overspray with a silicone-based dressing is it gets on the rim, it picks up some brake dust, which is acidic, and it will fling onto your paint, sit there, and etch its way onto the paint. So in order to avoid that, buy a simple water-based dressing. Alrighty, SSP, now that we got the car 100% detailed and protected with a nice wax, we are good to go on and talk about what we did to the car. We went ahead and threw some wax on the wheels after we got the inner barrels nice and clean. That way the brake dust doesn't actually adhere to the wheel. It sits on a layer of wax, making it so much easier to clean. We got the windshield coated. That way the driver actually enjoys driving the car in the rain rather than not being able to see worth a shoot. And now after we got that, now of course is another time to plug the wonderful, beautiful microfiber known as the Rag Company Eagle Edgeless 500 GSM. Alrighty, gentlemen, this is a black car. Black cars suck to keep clean, so you're probably gonna have to be touching this thing every other day with detail spray, trying to keep your ride looking mint like Cardi B at the Grammys, okay? So, that being said, we are gonna be doing a lot more detail videos and detailing tips. Coming from me as a professional detailer, I will try to help out you guys as much as I possibly can because I know there's a lot of questions and a lot of nervous experiments that you want to try whenever you first get into detailing. So we're gonna go ahead and try to answer and help you guys out as much as we possibly can. Thank you so much for joining back this week on SSP.